in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive.
This is PC Gone Mad with Patrick Christys.
That's right, you're listening to PC Gone Mad with me, Patrick Christys, and what a gift of a topic this is. You may have seen yesterday, Prince Harry came out and proudly admitted he is a feminist, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Prince Harry, probably our favourite member of the royal family, for being honest. He is now a feminist, maybe he always has been, who knows. Now, I was just wondering about this. What is it really that makes a feminist? Should we not all be feminists? Should men all not be feminists anyway? I am joined by the founder, or the leader, I should say, of Justice for Men and Boys Party, brackets, and the women who love them. It's Mike Buchanan. Mike, how are you today?
I'm very well, Patrick, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you a feminist, Mike?
No, I'm an anti-feminist. Firstly, the idea that, or the point that Prince Harry is a feminist is not exactly news. He's been publicly declaring himself a feminist for over a year now. And he's debasing himself and men in general in order to ingratiate himself with women and his wife in particular. He should be utterly ashamed of himself.
So what?
And I guess he's...
carry on.
I guess he's not aware that feminists are deeply anti-male and anti-marriage, but he will know when, not if, when she leaves him after having a kid or two, and she'll then demand megabucks in maintenance. I'd put money on that happening, but the bookies won't take my bet.
Have you tried asking the bookies?
I have. I've asked 6 in my hometown of Bedford.
Wow. Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, some interesting points there. What do you think makes a feminist? What are the key points of feminism for you?
The key point of feminism is the pursuit of female privilege. And we should all be anti-feminists, not feminists. Feminism has very rarely been about gender equality since the middle of the 19th century. It's always been about extending female privilege. And whenever a feminist tells me that feminists seek gender equality, I thank them. Then ask them 2 questions. What rights do I have that they don't have? And which of their 20 privileges would they be happy to give up? They then look a bit confused, but then feminists aren't the sharpest knives in their block, so they're often confused.
Right. Because I would challenge that. And I would say that although I would regard myself as being similar to the average man on the street, a bit fatter probably, but similar, I probably am a feminist by definition, because I view feminism as a push for equality, a push for equality in the workplace, a push for equality in the home, a push for that, and wrapped in historic inequality, Mike. And so I am, I suppose, a feminist, aren't I? And actually, I suspect you are by that definition. You must be a feminist because you don't want you don't want inequality for women.
Patrick, that definition is basically historically ignorant. Women have always been a privileged class, and the few times that men have had rights that women haven't had, it's because they've had to... What about
the whole vote thing?
Well, the whole vote thing. More than half of the men who were killed and had limbs blown off in the trenches, Patrick, didn't have the vote.
Mm.
So I mean, men got the vote because they were willing to die for their country. Women got their vote without. To this day, they are not expected to make that sacrifice. But it's the idea that feminism is a search for equality. It just doesn't bear examination. I go back to my point that there are 20 areas where the human rights of men and boys are assaulted by the state's actions and inactions, almost always to privilege women and girls.
What are some of those? How am I being assaulted by the state, Mike?
My goodness me. It's a long list, Patrick. As a male, you are not protected against genital mutilation at birth.
So circumcision, but I mean, women aren't either. I think we had our first prosecution for that quite recently, and so we're not exactly doing a good job with that.
Patrick, the point you're missing is that the state tries, it does everything in its power to stop female genital mutilation. It's put vast investments in, and at the same time, the government takes income taxes from the criminal butchers who mutilate the genitals of male minors. I'm trying to get you to see the double standard here. But I say, there are 20 areas. You take denial of access to children. I mean, 95% of the parents who are denied access to their children by the appalling family courts are fathers. and it's one of the major drivers of male suicide, which is the number one cause of death of men under 45.
Yes, okay, I do understand what you say, Mark. I just hesitate with this a little bit because I've had a look at the definition of feminism. It says the advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of equality of the sexes, which is not looking for anything for women to gain advantage in society over men. And so I would put it to you that definition that you have given of feminism, of it being a force to prioritise the rights of women over men, isn't actually feminism. There may be feminists that think that, but there are also men that think women should spend their entire lives in the kitchen wearing makeup. So the same has to work both ways, doesn't it, Mike?
Patrick, the definition, I mean, I've been studying feminism for 10 years, and the dictionary definition of feminism is absolutely absurd. I mean, can you tell me one right you have that women in this country don't have? One.
No, but I think without women campaigning for it, they wouldn't have had equal. Well, actually, on average, isn't it? I mean, the gender pay gap is a thing, isn't it? The fact that women are less likely to be on boardrooms, Mike, or in boardrooms, etc.
Patrick, the gender pay gap exists, but it's got nothing to do with men being paid more than women for the same line of work.
It's got to do with that women aren't as good as men at that work.
No, it's got to do with women having a lesser work ethic than men, not pushing themselves so hard for the difficult, well-paid jobs.
With respect, I don't know what experience of women you have had personally. My experience of women tells me that their work ethic, in fact, in a lot of cases, is greater than that of men. My producer right now, for example, is eating a sandwich and scratching his rear end while a female in the office desperately clips some audio clips, you know? I would suspect there's a difference there.
Patrick, we need to now to bring in Dr. Catherine Hakim, who's a world-renowned sociologist, and in the year 2000, she published a paper on what she called preference theory. And her research showed that while 4 in 7 British men are work-centred, only 1 in 7 British women is. So the idea that women are as equally work-centred as men, as a class, just doesn't bear examination. Is that not because
men like you impregnate them and then they have to look after the children a little bit more? Is that not?
I think every survey I've seen on this, Patrick, tells me that women would prefer being at home with young children than working. It's only the 1 in 7 women. I'd rather be at home with young children than working.
I'd rather be in Haiti. I'd rather be in Hawaii. I'd rather be in LA than working. I mean, that's a bit of a false survey. But
this, Patrick, with respect, this isn't about you. This is about what women would prefer when they have young children, and their preference is strongly to spend more time with their children and less time in paid employment. It's exactly what we'd expect biologically.
Would you regard yourself as a misogynist?
Absolutely not, and that's. I mean, shame on you for.
I'm asking a question. I can ask a question.
No. But what's behind that, Patrick, is an attempt to shame me.
No, it's not at all.
No, it is. Why else? Why else would you claim or assert that I hate women?
No. I'm asking you if you consider yourself to be one, and I ask that because during our discussion that we've just had. The definition of misogyny is hatred of, contempt of, or prejudice against women and girls. I don't think you hate them. I don't think you have contempt for them. But some of the comments that you have said, based around their work ethic, to me indicates that there may be a prejudice against them. That is included in the definition.
Patrick, I've just explained to you, scientific research which shows that men are more work-centred than women. And if I were a misogynist, I hardly think that our political party would have a young woman as our director of communications, Elizabeth Hobson.
Right. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that last bit there. What were you saying? Sorry.
Our director of communications is a young woman called Elizabeth Hobson. We'd hardly have a woman as our director of communications.
No, I understand that. Yeah. I do get that. I just wonder whether or not your views in the context of wider society are entirely accurate, but I appreciate you making them, Mike, and you do fight your corner. It's Mike Buchanan there, who is head of the Justice for Men and Boys Party brackets and the women who love them. Some interesting views there, and I just wanted to raise that because Prince Harry has come out as a feminist, and I wanted to hear the opposing argument to feminism. Listeners, in case you're wondering what my opinion on it is, I'm not afraid to tell you, any man really, probably is a feminist, because I think if you agree with equality of pay, equality of opportunity, etc., that by definition really should make you a feminist. 020870 2558 is the number to dial, or at Love Sport Radio on Twitter. Don't go anywhere. When I come back, all the latest sporting headlines.